다 대양 좀 더 상주 좀 된데 아니 다 추이 호로 통마고 왜네 개발지 단디 년도에 유대베 당아주就是청을 차다베 아니 줄라한 되지 나로리아 아니 가서에 나랑 그만 가서에 수수기 다 담배 최단 제베 토네 아니 계지 니마 가시리야 다 계지샤 고급을 충분히 가버총 쉬어당 마시디 아 죽라한 디 공바디 디나노리아 당 아랑기 다가 자알레네 다 마시당 아자알레 내가 망치 가상 가서다 자알레네 뒤주 망치야데 이미냐 내가 미세다 대바다 심지에 된다 니 체도 삼바르지 미세 니레도 삼바르지게 다다바도 시라 종민도 제상 가장 우마 질이야 경험감을 보군진 고만티즈에게 에네 군진 고만티즈 구세 가지 쇼도 다주 고난주 공장 가지 쇼도 디줄이야 한진이 토르 개비시 샤시 대지게 마다 윤주산에 다 까마 부군진 나로 공을 시슈디 군진 당부래 다 드네마시다자 공로 가시에 빼는 미규도 진짜지 빼는 된준 디좀바보 미규도 진짜지 미는 공로 시비시게 스마도 쇼야마네 이내야 디나로래야지 된주역이 차와 라버시 망보제야래 된주 망보 투좀제야래 다 디주다 연주사 땅아랑 미지데 파지다 다 로디 쳇쳇을 줘도 뒤주 망보시 신자샤 인베 이내양 다 미세게 직대마던 저에 된디 첸도 삼바르지게 첸아메브체 엔데 데데지 미지 조어라르 지다 가수에다지 지샘 방법으로지 이교버로지 다진대로지 용도도 다 강다량 나라 자알레네 당연 대시에서는 현대시
Here in this temple, which has been founded by Kenshin Tongpa Rinpoche, in the place where our teacher, the complete and perfect Buddha, first turned the wheel of Dharma, I feel very fortunate that in this place I have the opportunity to make a Dharma connection with all of you. I'm very happy to have this opportunity. Actually, when we think about in this temple, since the time I came to India, I have done many things here. It's been a long time since I came to India, but during this time since I have come, I don't really feel like there is much that I can point out and say, this is something that I have done, some work that I have done for the benefit of beings and the teachings. When I think about all of the previous Karmapas, and I think about how long they lived, to what age did they live to, I've made a list of this. And when you look at it, the one who lived the longest was the first Karmapa, Dusum Khenpa. And some of them, like for example, the 8th Karmapa, Mikyo Dorje, the one who wrote all of the great treatises, he only lived until the age of 48. And though he only lived until that age, he did so many amazing things for the benefit of beings and teachings. He wrote these incredible treatises, all of these treatises. And so then when I look at my own life and I see that I'm getting older and older, and I see all of the time that has passed, and I think to myself, well, what have I really done that brings benefit to the teachings and to beings? And I don't see so much that I have done. It's as if my life is just passing away, passing by in front of me. And when I think about this, then it can be rather discouraging or rather depressing.
다 간다야. 야갈이야 레체 팀뷰지 레아르지 카시에르지 제야레. 다디주지 시에나베지 시린 초버르지 간주다지 시에야 유에버르지 다 개민도데 네미데 카시에르 제야레. 다디이데 망체디 당분 고주스르디 레아르지 망체 고주스르디 아주디 줄라간 디나로레야 에너지 고 쪽토바르지 도 총여베 인두산에 다 가주레 the really start point somewhere the go to the point of the go to the sanere of the energy 가주에 줄라간 지차디에 인두산 ngarange ngene binya miseke 공부디다 줄라간 들이야 지 미세게 지 소화용 대하르지다 안다 대야 조 아니 잡지 정글 치에기 가주에 때마다 저에 되냐 공부 첨부 시에네 대선들이 땀나 임베레 디기 다들 인두산 디제게 투제를 되는 중앙 임베레 드네 인두산에 디균전 되는 게 안데 드리게지디 신다 고모즈 권리양에 디 교수지 상로리들이 주고 삼을 전송
But since I came to India, there are a few small things that I've done. Perhaps it's really not anything to really talk about. There's not much that you can really say much about. But for these few small things that I have done, they've all started here in this monastery, in this temple. It's like this place has been the starting point for everything that I have done. And so for that reason, when I come to this temple, it's like I have a particular feeling that arises when I come here. And in particular, this is a place that was founded by Kenshin Tranga Rinpoche with his really great, vast intentions and vast vision for what to do. And he founded it out of his great resolve. And so in any case, I felt like before I began the actual teachings today that I thought it would be important to say this.
다들이야 디나나 다디 마지로 자로 슈비미나 다 최구리 쇼라다 대체상의 지대치 진짜 이반도 이민기 고다체는 담배 취체 여러 로바나 장라 샤자를 되나 라르체 체와라 체답 때문에 더도야 라마시 미괴바 인 대한 로데 링규 소와 인세메버 데베 감감바 통통바레 메베 라말라 수나다 라말라 마데베 로게냐 민우나 딜레 셴라 라마죄나 모사냐베 대바름디기 수행됩사마도 이체 마게바 로난 유튜브에있습니다. 로만딜레 치다바 취셰바 왕고레 퐁
And so to continue with our text, it reads, "They joke around and practice dharma on the side. They calculate weights and measures or sit as judges discerning what is from what is not. Then when such people look fondly at themselves, imagining that they are practicing dharma, Is there a Lama who can teach the methods for practicing the Dharma, or excuse me, is a Lama who can teach the methods for practicing the Dharma really unnecessary? They cast aside what they should rely on. Lacking any sincere longing from supplicating day and night, they get vexed with their Lama. Although they get the idea that they should not depend on the Lama, they would be embarrassed to go to some other Lama in front of other people. They merely supplicate for help, but have not developed confidence. They are not the kind of person whose mind can be transformed. It is a shame to give instructions, explain Dharma, or bestow empowerments to these students.
다 디나 된다로 저디 다 같이 가상지 랑도르 치아데 계심을 가사 쉬는 시대 다이네 미참매지 다지 가수에 랑도르 치아데 소수기 다 가수에 미게기 지섬주 samarwe tawa kedang samdongdan ti kesher cheche sosu gi samsu gi anda jingmandi sangma sansa ngwe ni ju tolya ta je mebche sosu gi samju di che andine sang dine ngeno che ta ju che de ar ji dang da na singi da mindine sangbor 코 야보르 코 두자레 체제 람상 가중 아주베 타주로 체실가레 제자한테 진제기 가르베 뭐 니줄이야 다 가르다 뭐 니줄 돈 데바라 제메베 지 소수기 다가스 가르베 미게르게베 다난 통조르디 개체르 체제 드리지기 돈에 안 로데비미나 안 바지지 미디즈텔이야지 당화 랑도르기 내되베 라마 지금 매나 리딩을 지다 간다 광주 심주를 디제 드리브체 연주산에 아니 가수에다 랑도르기 내되베 라마지 예비네야 안데지 그 가수 라메 가수에다 당화 되버텔야 녀야 깔아 가브르 차대야 드리임다
And so really, the main point that is being talked about here is that, as we mentioned yesterday, the doing what should be done and giving up what should not be done is very important. But everyone, when they think about what should be done and what should not be done, they have their own personal opinions, their own personal ways of seeing it, their individual beliefs about what is right. And so they have their own individual idea of what is okay to do and what is not okay to do. And this is maybe not necessarily something that really fits with the actual way that things truly are. But then they decide for themselves, based on their own individual views, okay, this is good, this is something I should do. They decide that. And then when they look at other people, they say, oh, he's good, she's bad, or whatever, and they immediately judge things. Whether or not this way that they're seeing things is fits with the nature of things or is true in the nature of things, they make their own individual way of looking at things the most important. And so when there's that sort of person, when they're, when in society there's someone like that, they think to themselves that maybe it's okay not to have a lama who can teach them what they should do or what they should not do. And so even if there is a lama who can teach them what to do and what not to do, it's difficult to actually teach people like that the instructions.
Sendi miwo dema dene shengin damanyoto goma dengito togo yi sambala tujudu midikare rangi kö sebada sawa mahumbala dene duk ting ting chebe cheba tela gom deba teye lomawe lama niji yu.
They do not want to let this life out of their sight and are afraid others will rival them. They are afraid they won't stick out. They are continually bothered by thoughts of food and clothing. When they see their clothes wearing out and food dwindling, they feel deep despair. When a practitioner is habituated to that, the Lama is more worthy of compassion than the students.
Example. The example is sharing that much. Tell ya. Example.
So there is an example for this.
Tadelia Namju Miziarta, Lord Cheser, Namju Samsung, yes, I would. In a Tabari Jungo, but that's harms or you want. Jazz on Nimachilia and the Kongeti, the year with the Katurchi. Did you say? Nghe thì chắc là rồi thì cả rồi ta cả rồi đó chắc là thì đủ số rồi giờ chỉ để đi thì như chỉ là chắc là đủ số chắc là nó nặng thế này gì nè bé xa thì 쇼자 마버지는 배샤 가시스터요. 배샤디 지게 의미보다 파대되는 인지 게메바르도 지세나 직제나 인지 의미보다 지세는 오스트레일리아 의미보다 가리나 가신 다버스도. 어다 제가 어다디 이나 게 10세신 때요 마다 이미네 인지 파운드 가시 도와서 말이죠. 인지 파운드 가시 도스 라위. Did sang lamsan jik samlo jikos lamsan ko de ti de yab did sane di nge ti de yang talo jangwen buchi gi zegu tendeng gi chedu lama jangbe gi tep chu chu de ba lama jangbe di ti de do jaza de la wa ji gi ju de la wa yab de ju ui de la wa yab de ju kyoran kar go asla kyoran de kar go asla 콜람상에 하르슬레지 콤바를 가시 치시 이렇게 근데 제가 삼로를 당겨 겹지 니가 고 사. 니가 고 니가 욕말했네. 니가 욕말. 다 제대로 봐. 다 제망에 걸게 쉐비. 디디상에 결혼한 고스들 3년 가르쳐 줬을래. 전교 때도 우리들 전종사. The first thought is best thought. 그봐? 담보 때도 우리들 전종사. 우리들 나라도 배나 배배기 우리들 추도도 지 우리들 제자로. 그저 때 제도를 제제. 책들이 되나면 그것이 막 주미다. 다 근데 senzane인데 맞서디 우디 근데잖아. 다 빼서도 무거워서 거 봐. That is not appropriate. 디디는 룽기 말했어. 무주디도 고어디네 빼서도 무거워서는 룽기 말했어. 근데 빼서도 고라면 이제 무주디 의디 고유디사 네가 고슬라이.
There is a guy. He's a rather older guy. And he sometimes comes to see me. Not all the time, just sometimes he comes to see me. And I was packing some things. We were packing various things. And while you know...
One day.
So while packing.
One day.
So one day while we were packing, you know, there was some stuff. And among the stuff there was an envelope, a red envelope, you know, one of those red envelopes with money. And I hadn't really looked inside to see what was in there, but there was some money, and it was probably foreign currency. I think it was maybe English pounds or Australian dollars, something like that. I wasn't really sure. I hadn't looked, but you know, maybe we can just say there were English pounds in there. And so I saw that he saw it, and we saw it. And then that year, this year, we had been preparing the commemoration of the Jamgon Rinpoches, and we had published a new edition of the Calling the Guru from Afar. So I took a copy of the Calling of the Guru from Afar in my right hand, and the red envelope and the money in my left hand, and I said to him, "Which do you need?" And he just startled, and then he sort of stepped back a few paces, and when he stepped back a few paces, he thought for a second, and then he said, "Both." And I said, "You can't have both of them. You can only take one." And he couldn't decide. So later when you're talking about it, it's like, you know, when you first ask him, you know, the first thought that came to his mind was money. Like the first thought, best thought. So the first thought that came to his mind was money, and then when he was about to say money in Tibetan, the word is ngul, so you have to kind of squeeze your lips together. So he got ready to squeeze his lips, and it was like it got stuck in his throat because, you know, you can't actually say, "Oh, I need the money." You can't. That's not appropriate to say that. But that's really what he wanted to say. But he couldn't say it, so instead he said, "Both."
That is just that small example of between the just this or the Nelia Loma Koran do goody Lame ma dea Loma Koran dea tini be Tata Madena Lame do you the matches then Koran do you the Ashinda Redena Uncle Kasraji Tata de Yomar Chesa Di Junzen Dene G Lomegi Kasre Tundu Neser of the Karim Batang Dana Singi Lame Mana of Dindi Tundu Lomegi Tundu Nezeta Lame Mananga Tini Tsumbo of Chumimina and the Shini Kasreji Lamadi Lomatil Debi Nea or Kasredaji Pendo Yungurella. And Loma Dinea, the except Shigre. Tenje Maimbachi, Loma Telia, Mugubachi, Lameta, Zashimur, Shimina, Zashimur, Yimina, Demana Shabimina, that is G. Kashudati, Cholan Royarbici. Pendomem Chandra Chandra, the industry Dene or Tenje Dachi, Lomegi Kashuata, Tendu Yeser of Dedan. And the Lame Gima, Chicago, Dangana, or Didi, Lame Mananga, Dini, Tsumbo to Guadi, Kesum Simta.
So this is just a small example of what it's like. And so when there's something that the student wants, and when the student is looking for something, it has to be the same as what the Lama has to give. If these two aren't the same, then it won't work. The Lama won't really be able to give anything to the student. And so there's what the there's what the student is looking for, and there's what the Lama has to have to give. And only when these two actually match, only at that point is it beneficial for the Lama to actually give that to the student. And only then can the student really accept what the Lama has to give. And so if it's otherwise than that, and there's something that the student doesn't really need or want, even if it's the most precious of instructions, if the Lama gives it to the student, then it's just a waste, and it's not going to bring any benefit at all. And so for that reason, it's very important that what the student is seeking and what the Lama, the instructions that the Lama have to give are the same.
Tena, sikchi tunji ni bale, tunji te kaneyong. Sikchi zamgi belo nge shega shena chimi jibi gyunzen tedaring. Nge si rusane migyu tu korangi kengi yuede ina shena chimi jibi gyunzen tedaring. Goyu gi jenyo be tabre mi jeba tsendi ba kadi chingwa serbo tobe chebe sudo ba jigdin ba shuma la ming chubdo tu da ba tenje jigi gosum gi jeba jinyongyo chebe ngane che cheba lomba di chusab che nangkwa la gyu jungbu chawa dian dili shen du yeba mi shen yenbar tang rang sangbur jubne nga ge da chakdo che mitong da mizi kharchi dawe minu guno re che yang chebe ming toban dine ya cha rang soso re na dojing kwese da mizi re chungsara lo de de dine gejo marbu chungsar chöshir kawa chebe druba che goya na lama che ro da henjik dunyin mi debi uyo ne sha chi la mitar tar mitsuk su mangbo che gejor ma che sa chenyer me la che sangye nyembe sekdang.
If that is so, of the two instructions, instructions in words and instructions in meaning, where will the instructions in meaning come from? I know how to read the texts to give merely verbal instructions, but that is the reason for not explaining instructions for others. And so here, this means Mikyo Dorje himself. This is the reason why though he knows the key instructions, he does not give them to others. Though they do not practice any of the methods to follow the kajus, such glib people of this life have the image of a Dharma practitioner carrying a yellow mala, or else they are given the name siddhas amongst worldly peoples. People of that type act outrageously with their body, speech, or mind, imagining themselves to be practicing Dharma, but they are severely deluded. They are no different from demonic spirits who fly through the sky. They give the bad to others, get the good for themselves, and then become prideful and jealous. They always think about where they can go to be seen and respected, yet they are still called practitioners. This is depressing. They remain as they were before and stay for years on end, someplace where they can get some clothes, food, and esteem, saying, something truly spiritual occurred. If they have to undergo hardships to do Dharma practice, in their hearts they do not want to stay with their Lama and Dharma friends, deceiving themselves. They are never free for even a single day. They will not sit still. Their main spiritual practice is large meals and frivolity. Please look, Sanjay Nyampa.
Tama de shan kasaro pachi, ta ni sama ge gyu cheng ta. Ta de ne chue samo mana na lama la khang. Na na nin zen de ne gomba ta shu. Juba la ju na tuba pho re sha la ma jo na juba le ka wang che. Rang gi chuen de la da gen mo jo nyong do do ma ge we. Na ro chu ru de bu char tu song kha zhang de ji. La me gyen ne je. Rang gi nyong wa kha ya ma ge ba la gyen do me da war. Lama la gyen do thong wa chung bu che ne kha bun de. Ndo na lama che ro jig chu chu se ri nam gyu la si ba tho me leng ling do song ne rang de gi ge za chu che ba da che na chen de ju be ge ba che. Ngera la gwe sha mo lu gi chue gi ming chu kyo za pho re la phuk de se ya cha do su mi ge ba na ji ge me.
If the Lama does not give profound Dharma, they resent him. If he gives it, they forget about meditating night and day. If one day they miss a single meal when put to meditation, they get up from their practice straight away. They haven't put enough into their Dharma practice. since they have not brought it to the point of experience. When they finish, say, the 6 yogas of Naropa, for example, they give account and complain about the Lama's faults. Though they do not consider not developing any experience to be a fault, they are clever at seeing the Lama as having faults and then brag. In brief, when the way their Lama and Dharma friends speaks changes slightly, their emotions fluctuate up and down. Then, if the virtuous roots of their own benefit are dammed like a river, their chance to accomplish Dharma in this life is cut. All our plans for the many things we need interfere with our own main practice. We say we would be happy with plain rice porridge, but when it comes to salt, seasoning, and so forth, there is nothing we do not need.
Tende inxie che la minxie che sambar bi yungur bada tende indo yin si gire la min si gire sambar bi yungur ta kan da yang zo di ka jwe ka jwe da jidang gi su su gi ane be chue nyamle cha di kashwe da lame gi ma kashwe da ji lamde sama guide kasama advice sama be tende la jigbo la ra lu ba mai ba ta kan da ju so su ngwe ne en da kan da dilia di so su gi one chue nyamle che sanan da do na do da mi si sangbo ji de mi si ningbu ye be 미지 퇴행에 차디 소수기 차와지다 소수의 랭겐지 이상에 돈에 아니 소수기 외에 에네베 full interest somewhere 랭체 간다 소수는 좋아 용수 저거지 대토버를 체제 근데 돈에 아니 되니 제거하듯 계신 분들 마다베 에너지 가서 소수 외에 당도의 이切 좋아 차상지 매비이나 안데 가서 안제 라멘고에는 다들 와지 다들 블레싱을 제지 제 질러를 나체 아니 가서다지 람상 라멘고에는 쇠샤르부터 시작해 망보지 매대베 소시에 네두산 디균전 때네 소수용에다 full understanding somewhere 소수용에다 균전 고체를 지당 다는 신기 ene towa somewhere the interesting full interesting rabaji language 계심 시타레샤 근데 총부 이미나 아니 신에 가서다 지 최 냠레사 대당 최 냠서 레벨 가사티니 배 타대도 최다 가사니 타대도 뭐 규비체제 아니다 최다 가사니다 로지세란 라도 간다 최 냠레차 미지 상보차데 소수기 다 가지고 차시에를 지다 소수의 른신을 비질이야 유튜브를 지 용거래서 정리
So there's a lot said here. A lot is said here, and you might agree with it. Some of it you might agree with. Some of it maybe you don't agree with it. Sometimes maybe you think it's possible this is so. It's possible this is not so. It is quite possible that you might think of it in this way. But the main thing here is that when we are doing, when we do our own individual Dharma practice, it doesn't only depend upon the guidance or the advice of from the Lama. It's also our own individuals. It depends upon ourselves and what we, for our own part, are doing to really practice the Dharma, or you could say to make it so that we have a good life, a life with meaning, a life that has a point or an essence. And so, in this way, it's our own individual responsibility. It's our own individual. Choice or responsibility to do this. And so we have to take full interest in this. We have to be fully interested. We have to have the complete motivation, completely motivated to do this. And so, if we have that, then really seek the Dharma, that is what is important for our practice. And so, if otherwise we don't have, on our own individual parts, we don't really have that interest, we don't have that confidence, or we don't have that motivation, then it's not like the Lama can then just bless us so that we do Dharma practice. If it were like that, it would be something that would be sort of manufactured by the Lama. Instead, we have to have this complete interest, this dedication to it. We have to understand the reasons for the Dharma, and we have to have that dedication and that full interest in the Dharma. It is very important that we have this. And when we have that, then only at that point is it that our Dharma practice and the individual who is practicing the Dharma are no longer separate from each other. That is when the Dharma and the individual who's practicing become the same in flavor. That is the point when our Dharma practice and this life become part of each other and they share the same nature. In the words of the Kajus, let whatever happen, happen, let things go as they go, may whatever come. If you are someone who can practice this, you will see the tracks of the Kajus when you look over your shoulders.
탄딜레 구규망 외스레 괜삼의 유스레 제자 예람산다산 지가주에 나라는 냠레 매상 아니딜이야 지시 야버지 겹동면도
There are many different ways that you can understand this, many different ways that this could be explained. But since I'm someone who does not have any practice, I really can't give an explanation of it.
Understanding some of it, the koto yebre chiagwa de kesu staresha pena nizu pena di sosu gi mizina lo ya pena sosu gi legar bichilia gyo chimbi binia ta de sosu gi namgyu sosu gi nimeri ri mizina lo ya semle jungse oda tamje ji midabare ji gyure ren shire sambar bichi tinji understanding de bichi tinji koto yebre 근데 저지를 비춰야 됩니다. 아니 남시 다 소수 미진아로리아 두아 가라칸섬지 교화 사버를 비치 루브르도 교화 shum이 미냐 디급서 뭐네 이제 소수 준비지 축토버를 비치제 대토야를 비치당 아니 대잠시기 로판바다 이체 이 체명을 비치 근데지 용거래 삼정게 근데 유산에 따디 디균센 때는 아주 거두이 미네야. 다 마인드풀니스 somewhere with the 바이오시 대화야지다. 저리지 대화야지다. 다는 신기 가수에 다 understandable which 드리지 대화야라버디 계속으로 집자.
For those of us who practice the Dharma, it's important that at all times we have that our minds are ready, that we have an understanding, that we have some comprehension. Because in this life, it's like there are many things that can change. For example, in this life, we might change jobs. And so if we have thought about this beforehand, if we have some sort of an understanding and we're ready for it, then we can think to ourselves, oh, everything is impermanent, everything changes. And so at that point, we can then gain some sort of a new understanding. And so we have to, so we need this understanding and this preparation in our lives. And if we have that understanding, then when there does come a change in this life, like if there's a sudden change in our lives, then we'll be able to find ourselves at that point. Otherwise, it'd be like we'd be discouraged or upset about this. And so what is important is for us to always have mindfulness and carefulness, and to have this preparation and understanding in our minds.
이나 가서 되게 많이 가르에 근데 다 우리 니즈 토리아 우리 니즈기다 understanding 산다도 근데기다 우리 니즈기 고도 때 아주 싫어 저 가르에 우리 니즈기 다가래 고도 매비 인두산에 디균선 때네 아니 가르다 아주 가지고 있는 지 샘디 다 가져요. 근데 배수를 제가 늘에 채널 주면서 다 가져요. 배는 치와는 삼바이미네 치와를 지미는 오늘 제미는 시야디 다 내추럴 서로 파서 말하다 지고 정신이 균도를 제다 띵원에 전다 될 미세다 가지고 동해 채과르지 미세다 동해 채양 처음에르지 딱 한다 드립시레디 예비는 아주 밀이야 지외 동해 퇴버를 용돼야디 버지지 전은 아주 미디 단 되바체 잡았으는 장도 다는 신기 가르쳐다지 뭐 니즈 토리아 남주 삼복에 마다지 소수기 엔 되바차 잡아 디 왕도 당샤비 인주산에 다 이미네 소수 내가 지점 차 이미네야 왜 니즈라 요던 도마로 대동 모두 인주산에 왜 니즈기 단 균도디 레용의 참리야 아니 소수가 저지매체 샘을 저지매체 아니 왜 니즈디 accept somewhere 동네 체모도 비체 and 디기 지 동해 넘버를 지원돼야 지당 아니 쿨네베를 지원돼야 지 자리가래 인주산에 디균선 때네 당아주 남규 네 딱하다 데스 가로다 우리 니즈 토리아 섭십치야 지 미다바당 다는 신기 다 댄신 중 라소바 디즈 토리아 섭십치야당 우리 니즈야 가소래 awareness samarveta chi ngoi ni zu thonda awareness kana lawta inji phege
Awareness and Shripad
da je da ribor ribor sanda da nge kenza da broken language chato chede da phege de 제가 inji de 제가 ge da de ne kwa de kesmi yimta
But we usually don't really have an understanding of the true way that things are. We don't have this understanding or this comprehension in our minds. And so for that reason, when we come to things, like if we take as an example, if we take death as an example, death is actually just a change that naturally happens. There's really actually no particular need to have any special extra suffering over death. But for people, then there's, because people don't accept that, they have this extra suffering that comes at the time of death. Maybe this is because we have our desires are too great. We have too strong desires. And so our desires don't really fit with the way things actually are. And so when our desires are conflicting with the way things actually are, we can't really change the nature of things. And so when the nature of things actually comes to pass, we're not prepared for it. We can't accept it. And it's like this, the way things are actually becomes additional pressure on us, and we feel like there's an additional burden that is put upon us. And so for that reason, it's important for us to continually think about the way things truly are. We need to think about impermanence. We need to think about how everything is interdependent. We need to think this through carefully and come to some sort of a new awareness of what the nature of things is like. It's important for us to come to this understanding.
제가 아주 최바디 가르쳐서나 소소하게 extra worries 말하면 딜레야 미세가 저와도 더버 퇴바지 제마고 하시지 정신이 다 가르쳐야다 nature change 말하면 정신이 jun도 가르쳐 주고 예비냐 대단 냠도 디제스 장토버지다 대단 냠도 드로트 버르지 가르 용부 이내야 대단 냠도 소소하게 로이비냐 로데 구양을 가는 데도 냠도 로트 그러지 충분히 의미나 아니 마대와 가요 말에 동해 가요 말에 배차샤의 의미나 규준으로 된 리듀스다는 배나 다 스프링 서머 여군 된지도 교환 리듀스다네 그러나 여군 된지도 그러나 디 쿠류 그러나 여군 된지 규준 교환은 뛰니 권준도 로디스다 내가 마대스케요 말 관수 단도 대변 지도를 차디도와 야군 된지스 원 교환로야디 그런 가수 내추럴 그 뷰티인데 차주가래 마도 텔미세 딱 가수 군가 차네 퍼지 고유돼서 도를 줘라지 야가 차네 야를 미세게 하면 딱 거나 내추럴 뷰티인데 차주가 제상 가수 다나시 간다를 가수에 텐데베다 친앙기 겐 컨디션 충분히내라 다나신 주와 컨디션 충분히내야 대단 냠도 로도 버지다 대단 배 가수에 봐 가내지라고 그러다 되게 쇼래 소수이네야 로데보다 구양 안 로도 버지 충분히미나 아니 신내지 동해매 버지다 지가서 로 파페 버지 버지 용도 가서 정리
So a Dharma practitioner is not someone who needs to make some sort of extra worries or extra hopes or extra anything extra for themselves. It's just going along with the changes that they have, being able to follow and go with whatever it is that occurs. So whatever happens, you go with the flow of events. And so if you are able to do this, then in your own mind you can be more relaxed. You can be more expansive and be more relaxed. And so at that point you're more comfortable, more happy, and there's no particular difficulty with being able to just go along with what happens. And so when there's some sort of a change, something that happens, then there's no need to worry about that. We just go along with whatever change it is that happens. And then sometimes actually it's even like that change is even better. It's like there's the change of the seasons. The seasons naturally change from spring to summer to autumn to winter. And when they change, then actually it's even better because they're changed. It's part of the natural beauty of things. It's not as if when it's winter, then things are somehow worse, and when it's summer, then they're somehow better. It's just part of the natural, the beauty of things. And so we should be like that. And so when because of external or internal circumstances there comes sort of a change, we need to be able to go along with that sort of change. And then, in addition to going along with that, we can be comfortable and we can be more relaxed and spacious in our minds. And if we are able to do that, then at that point we will be able to be happy and be able to have more of a comfortable or content life.
Penangarang bizi nanolinia, jidang lo chuju rushe. Da yimbinia nizuru mangusha, kashura da experience one, nyamyoru mangusha, chumbre. Cheza antizu nano dus chen jusane. Da mangushi de kashura sam. 제가 미지사데 나랑 간데 초와를 가르치고서나 미지사 제베 상호 망고시 당네 최시 망고지 지니 다베 상호 망고시 일단 최시 망고시 지제 제베 미지 녀가 사고데 제거하스 케미 미지사 심볼 레라로 제샤 다 소소기 가르치에 약슈디 간다 가르치 프레젠트 서머가 지고 David Nizule, da Shasha, Chikash, some David Nizule, some Tongo, Mount Nizule, some Tongo ready, Inea, Tindegi Beji, David Nizudan, Mount Nizulia, Kashwe, Redo, Chamber de Chene, Choske Yaman, Chene, Pemba Neverji. That's also Tadegi, Kashweda, 다들 다 끼지 만디스디 안지 곰 잡딩에 소스도 다 간다야 다대기 가수의 소수기 가수다 미기 줄이에버디 들려야 지 퇴인데 버지다 안다는 상보를 충분히미나 마음보이냐 상보 쉬고 용거 아래 다들 내가 들려야 상보 뭐죠 이 안다는 Delhi Gingwar, Sukmoto Bimina, Mount Bala Kalakapshar, the name Jusane, the Yuzel Dene, and the Kandar Tade Negab di Kokashim in the Vichida, and the Digiton Takandar, Mrs. Sadi, and the Yogasawaji, the Sama Mangoji, Mangoji, Chagwas, may have a simple Mrs. Simple Chatter or Naran those by sometimes around Pembroke to Karesana, that's just Dine Madine. Lamne 조금이도 은들이 유산 다 데려봐 정말 바고 접제 르르제제 아니 사바기 가서 르르시 대대나 대대스 양계를 드릴 샤리도 지전에 향소래디 삼삼 드릴 고이기를 섬트기
Like in my life, for example, in my life, though of course I'm still young, but I've had, I've been in many situations and had some experiences, and in my feeling about this is that in this life, if we think too much, if we plan too much, and we're always thinking and planning, then we're just making our life more difficult and more complicated.
Yeah, or thinking plan test 맞아요. thinking plan 경계체. Taste.
Okay, so there's not a whole lot of, there's no real flavor, there's no taste to the thinking and planning. There's no point to doing it.
No.
Oh.
But it's okay.
Okay. Excuse me. So it's better for us to keep our life simple. And so the best thing is to be in the present. Of course, we do occasionally have to think about what happened in the past. We do need to think about the future situations, but it's better if we don't have too high hopes for the past or the future situations. If we were to do so, there's no point in doing that. There's no benefit in doing that. It's better just to stay in the present, though if we say just the present moment, then it sounds like we're talking about meditation. What we really mean is it's just whatever is right in front of our eyes. We need to be able to see the good in it. And if we can see the good in it, then good things will be able to occur from that. Otherwise, if we're not able to really see the good in what's right before us, then if we can't begin seeing the good in the situations we have right now, then in the future we're going to experience great difficulties for us. And so it's important that we need to think about this. Start with this right now. There are many sometimes, in this human life, there are many difficulties and many problems, and sometimes it feels like there's it's hard to do the simple, to be simple about it. But I really feel that it helps to try to just have a simple outlook on life. And the reason is, like, sometimes, when I do have these difficulties, I feel like it's good to just close the door, relax a little bit, let my mind be a little bit more, a little bit looser and relaxed. And then I feel like that's helpful. And I think that this is something that is probably helpful, will be helpful for you as well.